Hello children, this is your physics teacher Sharma and I welcome you all back to my class again. In the previous class, we were actually discussing about heat, wherein we have learned what conduction is, in which we understood that conduction is the transfer of heat without the actual movement of particles, and this conduction usually happens in solids, for which we have seen the activities. If you can recollect, activities like we take a rod and that rod is applied with some wax and we pasted some pins to it. When one end of the rod is actually put over flame, we have seen that the wax started melting and all the pins started dropping down one after the other. We have seen other examples also, and then we have learned we have also learned that the way in which these metals conduct heat is different. Some metals will conduct heat very easily, whereas some metals don't conduct heat very easily. Some metals are very good conductors of heat because they allow heat to flow through them, whereas some metals don't conduct heat very easily. Those substances we call them as poor conductors. Now, after that, we have learned about convection. In convection, we have seen that heat energy is traveling from one area to other area, from one place to another place with the movement of particles. The particles are traveling, the hot particles are traveling from one place to another place, and thereby the heat energy is also traveling. Okay, so we have learned that hot particles always rise up, and in due course we have learned what land breeze is and what sea breeze is. Okay, we also understood that because of this land breeze and sea breeze only, we are having a moderate temperature. It is not getting too hot or not too cold. Okay. Now, the third mode of transfer of heat is radiation. Radiation is that way in which heat can be transferred which do not require any material medium. See, we receive light and heat from the sun. Is there anything between the sun and the earth? Of course, there is one layer of atmosphere, but beyond, that is above atmosphere, there is nothing. But still, heat is able to travel from the sun to the earth. Okay. So this way of transfer of heat, or this mode of transfer of heat where no medium is required, is called radiation. Now, can we experience radiation? Okay, sun and earth are of course very common examples which we experience every day. Is there any other way, or is there any other place where we can experience this radiation? Let us see. If someone have set up a bonfire and you stand little away from the bonfire, you still feel the heat, don't you? In the same way, if there is a vessel that is filled with boiling water, you keep your hands slightly away and beside, not above, it's beside the vessel, you still feel the heat. Okay, so in that way, heat energy is actually reaching us even without any medium. Okay, now, is the amount of heat energy that is absorbed or given out, is it dependent on the color? Let us see. If I take two beakers or two vessels, normal vessels which we use in our house, one which is blackened, that means it has a black paint around it, and the other one which is shining silver. Okay, now what I do, I fill these two vessels. I said identical, that means both have the same size and shape, except for one being blackened and the other one being white color or silver color. I fill these two with the same amount of water and I put them out in the sun. Okay, I put them out in the sun afternoon time, maybe for an hour or two. Then I would bring them into the room and I'll put my hands into those. Now, will both have the same temperature, or do I feel both equally warm? No. See, black colors are very good absorbers of heat. Okay, black colored substances absorb heat readily, whereas light color or this reflecting surface or material, they don't absorb heat, they actually reflect it backwards. So the vessel which had this black paint over it will absorb more heat and it will retain heat with itself. So the water which is there in the blackened vessel also will be warmer. Whereas the other vessel, it is reflecting the sun's radiant heat energy back. Energy that we are receiving from the sun in form of radiation is reflected back by this silver colored or light colored vessel. So the water which is there in that vessel will not be as warm as the first one. So from this we understand that the color of the material is actually affecting the amount of heat absorbed. It is a common practice to all of us also. During winter we use dark color clothes, dark color sweaters, whereas in summer we prefer using light color cotton material dresses. Okay, so this is the influence of color, fine. Now what do these material have to do? Why is it we are using only cotton in summer and woolen clothes and sweaters in winters? There is a reason for that as well. See, woolen clothes, if you notice, will have a lot of air gap. Between two threads of wool, there is a huge gap. And in that gap is the air filled. Okay, whenever there is a gap, that is filled with air. Now, air is a bad conductor of heat. Okay, because air is a bad conductor of heat, it will not allow the heat which is there in our body to go out. Okay, whatever heat that is coming out of our body, it is retaining within the cloth, and so we are not losing heat energy to the outer atmosphere. In that way, woolen clothes are actually maintaining our body temperature. Now, coming to cotton. We prefer cotton dresses in summer because cotton absorbs the sweat from our body. Okay, and then this is where the actual magic starts. After absorbing sweat from the body, okay, it will absorb heat from our body, and with that heat it will make the sweat evaporate. So it is taking away heat from the body, so we feel cool. Okay, so even though it is not there in your syllabus, I am giving you for additional information. Whenever evaporation is taking place, the surrounding area will become cool. So here the sweat which is there on our body is evaporating, so it will make our body cooler. Okay, so this is the chapter heat for you. So let me recapitulate once again. In this chapter we have learned that the degree of hotness or coldness of a body is called temperature. We have learned the different scales of temperature, wherein we have learned about degrees Celsius. Okay, we have learned the three ways of transfer of heat, that is conduction, convection and radiation. We have discussed about the color and its influence on absorbing and emitting the heat out, and we have also learned what kind of dresses should we wear in different seasons. Okay, this is all for this chapter and for now. Until we meet again, have a nice time. Bye bye.